Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen. Wassalatu wassalamu ala Sayyidina wa Nabiyana Habibi Ilahi Rabbil Alameen Abil Qasim al-Mustafa Muhammad wa alihi tayyibin al-tahirin al-masumin al-mazlumin wa la'natu da'im ala adaihim ajma'in. Amma ba'd, faqad qala Allah ta'ala fi muhkamil kitabil majid. Bismillah ar-Rahman ar-Rahim. Yu'ti al-hikmah man yasha wa man yu'ta al-hikmah فقد أوتي خيرا كثيرا. صدق الله علي العظيم. Assalamu alaikum and welcome to Perspective. And once again we are here on Wednesday night to be in your service and trying to look into different perspectives in regards to different phenomena that we are faced with. Last couple of sessions we dealt with the phenomena of heart. Qalb, what is the reality of heart from the Quran and Hadith point of view? And tonight we would like to engage in a discussion with the phenomena of aql. What is intellect from the Quranic and from the Hadith point of view? Because as we mentioned last couple of programs ago, the difference between the aql and qalb. Aql is the place where the Imam is pointing out to as dimagh, which is the brain, and heart is somewhere baina yaday, it's in between, where the physical heart, obviously, it's pointed out in the chest, so to speak, right? But in those terminologies which are used in Islamic point of view, we do find that the heart is used as a soul as well, soul of an insan, nafs-e insan, right? And a qalb salim, a heart which is at full of peace. So therefore then you have the amn, where for example the heart is at peace or the soul is at peace as well, right? So it points out to that same reality, right, of the heart and soul as well. But here the heart, as according to the tradition of Imam Sadiq alayhi salam, is trying to point out to that heart is the place where things are received. It's a very receptive reality. And here's the intellect, the aql of an insan, the aql of a human being, comes and kind of basically rectify. It goes through a process where it kind of corrects the information that has been downloaded, and the heart which is recepting it, right? So aql tend to do the act of spirit. Aql could be considered as something that is pure, something that is faultless, something that is immaculate. Yes, there isn't any doubt the possibility of intellectual error. Now, the reason of the intellectual error taking place is the limitation of the receptive nature, limitation of learning. Right? Now, because of that, otherwise the aql can never make an error. The aql can never make a mistake, because we have a tradition from Imam Kazim alayhi salam in one of the advices to Hisham ibn Hakam. He says that ma qussima bain al-ibad afdalu min al-aql. There isn't anything that has been taqseem, that has been distributed amongst the ibad other than aql. Something that is of greatest fazila, the best thing that God have distributed is nothing but it's considered to be the aql. And in another hadith we tend to find that there are two hujjat. There are two proofs. One is the proof which is known as an outward proof, and there is another proof which is known as the intellectual or the inward proofs. Imam Kazim alayhi salam once again mentions, Inna Allah ala nas hujjatain. Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have given people two proofs. hujjata dhahiriyah, there is a hujjah, there is a proof which is zahiri, which is outward, wa hujjatan batiniyah, there is a proof which is inward. Fa amma dhahiratu fal rasul, the zahiri proof, the outward proof is considered to be Rasul. Now the same way as Rasul is immaculate and masoom, if the aql bashar, even in that pure nature, in its essential reality, is also immaculate, right? Wal anbiya wal a'immah wa ammal batiniya fal uqul, but the internal hujjat is considered as aql. So now the point is that because the internal aql is veiled because of the actions of an insan, and as he falls short in his calculation, he comes, which we name it as intellectual error. If that happens, then you have the hujjat zahiriyah, the aql which is outside, the aql which is the anbiya and aimma and rasul, they are the hujjat zahiri, right? So it rectifies with that. Now, before jumping into the discussions of aql, let's introduce what does really aql mean, where does it really come from. The root word of aql really comes from the masdar is iqal, which really means that when a haywan, when an animal is placed with sort of like a some sort of covering to the eyes that doesn't allow the animal to really put his mouth in the food of others, so it just focuses in the front, it doesn't get distracted. So aql comes from there. Aql plays the role of stopping the individuals and human beings from committing errors, from making mistake. That's what aql really does. That's what aql really do. And as Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala have mentioned in the Quran that, and they will say, had we listened or applied the aql, qalu law kunna nasma'u, here, aw naqilu ma kunna fi ashab as-sa'ir, then we would not have been among the inmates of the blaze, of the hellfire. If we would have applied the aql, we wouldn't be the ashab as-sa'ir, we wouldn't be from the people of the hellfire. Now see, the aql is like the reality which protects insan from committing a mistake. That's what aql does. Now when we were discussing about the qalb is receptive. It takes things inside, right? The place of heart, or the duty of the heart is to receive things, is to take things, right? And the aql is pure and sublime. It's like the ruh. It kind of guides the soul. It helps the soul. It helps the soul to receive things properly. So the same way the aql insan, it kind of refines the reception or the receptive nature of human being. So the aql needs to be very, very powerful as well. And that's why Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala says in the Quran that He gives wisdom to whomever He wishes. And he who is given wisdom is certainly given an abundant good. يُؤْتِيَ الْحِكْمَةَ مَنْ يَشَاءُ وَمَنْ يُؤْتِيَ الْحِكْمَةَ فَقَدْ أُوتِيَ خَيْرًا كَثِيرًا. That's what it means. Now, how can we really improve our intellect? What can we really do in order that, aql becomes more powerful? What is the role of aql in reward? The attributes of those who are aqil, what type of qualities they have? What is regarded as intellect as in reality. Ma yu'tabaru. What is the itibar bihil aql? So we'll try to look at these issues in the light of the Quran and Hadith and understand. So we did the part of qalb, of the heart. Now we are entering into the discussion of aql, which is intellect. Then perhaps we'll look into the topic of knowledge, where the heart and aql becomes that sort of major players for accumulating, for understanding, for implementation of knowledge. Now let's start looking at some of the traditions in regards to aql. Rasulullah sallallahu alaihi wasallam, qiwamul mar'i aqluhu wala deena liman la aqla lahu. The qiwam, the basis of a man is his intellect. The man devoid of intellect has no religion. So intellect, aql is compared to deen. What is religion? So that means that a person who doesn't have aql, he doesn't have intellect. So this clearly points out to the importance of intellectuality amongst the school of Ahl Bayt, that how aql is so important. That's why it plays a role even in the ahkam, even in the fiqh. Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam, aql is considered to be one of the proofs. In jurisprudence, in usul fiqh, in jurisprudence, you have 4 proofs. You have the Quran, you have the Sunnah, you have the consensus, and you have the aql. So the aql is considered as one of the proofs that is utilized and used in order to make Islamic law, in order to make ahkam for example, what is the ruling of test tube babies? What is the ruling of artificial insemination? What is the ruling of contraceptive, of abortion, of gender change, of so many modern new issues that insan is faced with? Now what is the deen is saying in regards to that? What is the ahkam of deen? Here comes the aql, the intellect. And what type of intellect? Al-aqlu, as the hadith says, al-aqlu ma ubida bih rahman. An aql that is subservient, that surrenders to the Rahman. Right? That aql, that pure aql. Now here comes the maraje, the ulama, the scholars, and they would deduce the law on the basis of the Quran and the hadith that they have. What is the ahkam or the ruling of organ donation? They will come and say that organ donation is allowed with certain conditions. The aql is saying that, but this aql is basing its fatwa, its verdict upon the Quran, or if it is not basing upon the Quran, it is not contradicting any verses of the Quran, it is not contradicting any of the traditions or riwayat or narrations, if you want to call them, which are authentic, then the aql there's that room, there's that freedom to really come up with an intellectual sound argument to really given to the followers. So here the qiwamul mar'i aqluhu, the qiwam, the basis of a man is his intellect. Wala deena liman la aqla la. There is no deen, there is no religion if he doesn't have, he's devoid of intellect. So deen is the work of intellectual people. That's what religion is. It's for intellectuals. Deen is intellect. Deen is aql. Now, the question arises here that many a times our limited aql, our misunderstanding, misinterpretations, and we think that they are very intellectual and we try to impose that on deen. That is a problem. One would come and say that, okay, during the week we are really busy. Friday is a weekday. So why don't we have Sunday prayer instead of Friday prayer? This is the intellectual understanding of the present scholars, for example. The people who are lawyers, the people who are doctors, the people who are engineers, the people who work, they say that Friday we can't. So let's have a same type of prayer on a Sunday rather than on a Friday. This is the intellectual understanding of the intellectual class. But this is going against the verses of the Quran. This is going against the ahkam ad-deen. So can we accept this intellectual, so to speak, quote unquote, intellectual understanding of the people and say that, okay, the aql is saying this? I'm sorry, no. Anything, any riwayats, any narration that goes against the zahir and the batin of the Quran, throw it on the wall. The Quran is the first hujjat-e-khuda, hujjat of a proof from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala. So now when we say aql, yes, aql, but if that aql is saying it doesn't make sense to me, well, it doesn't make sense to you. But that's what the Quran says. But that's what the hadith says very clearly. 5 times a day you gotta pray. It's very clear. Then you come and say here that my aql says or my intellect says that you don't really need 5 times a day prayer. 1 day is sufficient enough for you to pray. That's what the aql is saying. All the intellectuals are saying that. I'm sorry, that's not the case, right? So deen is indeed in the same sort of level or in the same sort of balance as the aql. So if the person now the question here would be that why the deen is saying that you have to pray on a Friday, why the deen is saying that you have to pray 5 times a day, why the deen or religion, deen means religion, is giving these laws. Now it is you and I who have to really understand the soundness of the ahkam ad-deen, the intellectual reality of the ahkam of deen, because we don't have knowledge to really understand. Now it is on us to really have that intellectual understanding what the deen is saying, right? So that's what we are supposed to do. Now Imam Ali alayhi salam says that Allah has only assigned man with an intellect so that it may one day deliver him. One day this aql will come and deliver him, will relieve him, will release him. The intellect is the strongest foundation. As Amir al-Mu'minin says, is one of the hadiths, he says that intellect is considered to be the strongest of all foundation. So if we have our belief system, our ideology, our ahkam, our interpretation, our Quran, our marifat and knowledge, the foundation of that must be the aql-e-insan, must be the intellect of man. Intellect, as it says that the intellect sets right all matters. It is the aql, it is the intellect of man which puts all matter in its place. Things are well taken care of. They are well nicely put in the order, and that is the aql-e-insan that does that. In another beautiful hadith, Amir al-Mu'minin aql is considered to be ruqiya ila illiyin. The intellect is the ladder towards where? Where is this aql taking? The aql is taking illiyun. It's taking towards the loftiest heaven. The aql is taking you towards the high places. If a person is intellectual, that is why it says an-nawmu. That's why it says that an-nawm, the sleep of a person who is an aqil, is considered to be, ibadat. He is sleeping, but he is aqil. So he will have that reward, that amazing and fascinating reward. It will come further down, and I will point out to you, ad-dalil, al-aqlu dalilul mu'min. The intellect is considered as that very proof for a mu'min. It is through the aql he comes to term and he comes to understanding of the reality of things that he is there. Now, I'll do one hadith because we are reaching to the end of the time, and then we'll take it from our second part of the program. We will look at the role of the intellect, how intellect plays its role for achieving, for receiving chastisement, and also for receiving the reward. After this hadith, in 30 seconds, Imam Kazim alayhi salam says, Ya Hisham ibn Hakam, nothing has been bestowed upon the servant better than the intellect. The sleep of a man of intellect is better than the night vigil of an ignorant man. Like I just said, we'll mention this hadith. Alhamdulillah, it came right here. Afdal lo min sahr al-jahil wama ba'atha Allahu nabiyyan illa aqilan hatta yakunu aqlahu afdal min jami' jahat al-mujtahidin. Allah has sent down, right? Every single prophet that Allah has sent down has been a man of intellect, whose intellect supersedes the labor of all diligent workers. وَمَا أَدَّى الْعَبْدُ فَرِيدَةً مِّن فَرَائِدِ اللَّهِ حَتَّى أَقْلَ أَنْهُ. The servant is not considered as having fulfilled any obligatory act from among the acts made incumbent by Allah until he understands it. He has to understand what he is practicing. It is that important, not blindly following. He must have the intellectual sound understanding of what he is practicing. That is our school of thought. That is the school of Ahl Bayt alayhimus salam. We'll take a short break and we'll be right back.